Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcasting to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories. Despite reports of a possible Egyptian brokered truce arrangement, Palestinian Islamists have continued to sporadically launch rockets from the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip towards Israel's southern communities. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu urged in an address to the powerful AIPAC lobby to confront those who seek to weaken Israel's alliance with the United States. The European Union has joined in the international condemnation of U.S. recognition of Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, reaffirming its position that the Golan is part of Syria. Despite reports of a possible Egyptian brokered truce arrangement, Palestinian Islamists have continued to sporadically launch rockets from the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip towards Israel's southern communities. Following the intensive exchange of Palestinian rocket fire from Gaza and Israeli retaliatory air raids over the course of Monday night and Tuesday morning, Egyptian officials sought to alleviate the situation from spiraling into an all-out conflagration. Initially, the effort seemed to have borne fruit. While a tense calm prevailed yesterday afternoon, it did not reassure Israel's security establishment, which, following a situation assessment that was led by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, decided to deploy additional forces along the border with the Gaza Strip. The IDF spokesperson's unit released a written statement in which it noted that the IDF Chief of Staff Aviv Kochavi ordered the deployment of an additional infantry brigade headquarters and an artillery battalion to the southern region. In addition, Lieutenant General Kochavi approved the call-up of additional reserve soldiers, a decision usually exercised ahead of a wide-scale military operation. Immediately after the Israeli situation assessment, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered a broadcast address to the annual conference of AIPAC, during which he declared that Jerusalem is prepared to do what is necessary to defend its people and state.
Now, I'm just coming from a meeting with our Chief of Staff and our senior command, and I can tell you, we are prepared to do a lot more. We will do what is necessary to defend our people and to defend our state.
While Netanyahu was speaking to the powerful American pro-Israel lobby, Palestinian Islamists launched a rocket towards the Eshkol Regional Council. An Iron Dome anti-rocket defense system intercepted the missile, preventing any injuries or damage. Some 3.5 hours after the rocket attack, the Israeli Air Force targeted several Hamas installations in the southern part of the enclave. In a statement, the IDF said that its fighter jets struck several terror targets in the southern Gaza Strip, including a Hamas military compound and a weapons manufacturing warehouse in Khan Yunis. The IDF further underscored that it views the Hamas terror organization as solely responsible for all events transpiring in and from the Islamist Strip, which is under Hamas control. Several minutes after the Israeli retaliation, however, another rocket was fired from the Gaza Strip towards the southern Ashkelon industrial zone. Once again, an Iron Dome anti-rocket defense system intercepted the missile, preventing any injuries or damage. A little less than 4 hours later, the IDF once again launched an aerial bombardment of a Hamas target in the southern district of the Palestinian enclave. Yet again, Palestinian Islamists fired a rocket towards the Ashkelon industrial zone, which was also intercepted by the Iron Dome projectile. The repeated cycle of rocket fire from the Gaza Strip towards Israel's civilian communities came despite Israel's adamant warning to the Islamist organizations. In a statement, the IDF stressed its determination to fulfill its mission to defend Israeli civilians and underscored its preparedness for various scenarios and will intensify its activity if necessary. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Hamas and its Iranian-backed ally, the Islamic Jihad, which are the two most powerful militant groups in the enclave, claimed that the rockets launched towards Israel had not been fired with their permission. According to them, the responsible offender is a small militant cell or rogue individual. Furthermore, the two organizations, which are internationally recognized terror groups, threatened to respond forcefully against any Israeli retaliatory strike. They issued a threat, according to which any escalation on Jerusalem's part will be met with the intensification and expansion of the rocket fire and its reach into Israel. Now back to the Israeli Prime Minister's broadcasted address to AIPAC. Netanyahu has voiced his deep appreciation of the Israeli-American Public Affairs Committee, which continually lobbies for bipartisan support of the alliance between Washington and Jerusalem.
Thank you. Thank you for working year after year, decade after decade, to strengthen the remarkable alliance between our two countries. And I can tell you, that alliance has never been stronger. Thank you for working to strengthen support for Israel on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans alike. That is how it's always been, and that's how it should always be.
The Israeli leader also took the opportunity to respond to remarks made by an Islamist member of the Democratic Party, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who accused AIPAC of using its financial power to influence the leadership in Washington.
Those who seek to defame this great organization, AIPAC, those who seek to undermine American support for Israel, they must be confronted. Despite what they claim, they do not merely criticize the policies of Israel's government. God, I'm used to that. That happens every 5 minutes. They do something else. They spew venom that has long been directed at the Jewish people. Again, the Jews are cast as a force for evil. Again, the Jews are charged with disloyalty. Again, the Jews are said to have too much influence, too much power, too much money. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what the best way to respond to this kind of hatred is? We read it. We read it just a few days ago in the book of Esther, when Mordechai confronted Haman of Persia. The best way to respond to those who spout this kind of hatred is not to bow down to them, it's to stand up to them.
Among the senior officials addressing the conference was U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who affirmed that ironclad bipartisan support of Israel will always prevail, despite the emergence of deep disagreements with her Republican counterparts on the topic.
From Israel's founding through the present day, our pledge remains the same. Israel and America are connected now and forever. We will never allow anyone to make Israel a wedge issue. That pledge is proudly honored in this Congress, where support for Israel remains ironclad and bipartisan.
Now, with regard to the U.S. recognition of Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, amid expected criticism, which among others had been voiced by Russia, China, and the Muslim world, the European Union joined in their condemnation and reaffirmed its unwavering position, according to which the Golan Territory is part of Syria.
Our position on the status of the Golan Heights is well known, and we would like to make it clear that this position has not changed. In line with international law and relevant Security Council resolutions, notably Resolution 242 and 497, we do not recognize Israel's sovereignty over the territories occupied by Israel since June 1967, including the Golan Heights, and we do not consider them to be part of the territory of the State of Israel.
The Foreign Ministry in Jerusalem refused to respond to TV7's request for comment on the joint European statement. Thank you for joining us. Keep praying for the peace of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem. I'm Yair Pinto. Have a good evening, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.